Okay, so how one teacher's Black Lives Matter lesson divided a small Wisconsin town. This is from NBC News. So, this is an incredible story, and I'm just going to read the highlighted text here. In late August, during the second week of school in Burlington, Wisconsin, Melissa Statz heard children in her fourth grade class talking about Kenosha. A couple of students, fourth grade by the way, this isn't like, 8th or ninth or 12th grade, this is fourth grade, these are children who have to live their lives with a president talking about how black people are evil and how they're rioters and looters and need to be killed, and then seeing fellow children going out there and murdering people for, I don't know, because they think that rioters and looters are going to kill everyone, I guess. I don't know. It's sad. It's sad that fourth graders have to deal with this. How old is fourth grade? Asks Itor in the chat. Fourth grade is like what? Like 10? 10-ish? Maybe 9? Something around there? I don't remember. A couple of students had seen burned and boarded up buildings in the nearby city, but they didn't know the details of the protest that filled the streets after a police officer shot Jacob Blake, a black man, in the back on August 23rd. One student asked Stats, 30, if she knew what was going on in Kenosha, which is a half-hour drive from Burlington, a town of 11,000 people that is 89% white. That is incredibly important. 89% white. Stats thought this could be a teachable moment. So that week, she used a children's book, an educational video, and a worksheet to lead the discussion on racism and why people were protesting. She considered the materials neutral. The worksheet posed questions like, what is the Black Lives Matter movement trying to do? And if a fourth grader wants to say, burn down all of our cities and kill white people, they're free to do that. Right? They're free to do that if that's what their parents want to teach them. And how do we stop systemic racism? If a fourth grader wants to say there's no such thing, because that's what their parents taught them, they're welcome to do so. The students seemed engaged and asked a lot of questions, she said. Now, I want to talk about this story and the importance of the story because of the importance of Facebook. Now, again, there are people in my family that are hardcore QAnon people that weren't a couple months ago. Like, over the course of this pandemic, they went from, Trump sympathetic to Trump is fighting the deep state and all Democrats are pedophiles and every rioter is a pedophile. That's what these people believe. That's what Facebook has taught these people. And again, 89% white. I'm sorry, but black people on average don't fall for that shit. Gay people on average don't fall for that shit. Right? It is the white, cis, heterosexual people that fall for this shit overwhelmingly. I'm sorry, those are just facts, okay? One of the black girls in my class came up to me and said, thank you so much for teaching our class about racism. Again, 89% white. Stats, who is white, said, another black child, one of the fewer than 50 black students in a district of more than 3,000, gave her a hug after the lesson, she said. Later that night, a colleague told Stats to look at a private community Facebook group with more than 40,000 members called Burlington, Wisconsin Buy, Sell, and Trade. Now, 40,000 members, right? A town of 11,000 that is 89% white. So this Facebook group presumably has people that don't even live there talking about how evil black people are. So keep this in mind. I want to tell this story because I want you to understand how evil Facebook is and how conspiracy theories, QAnon, and misinformation travel so effectively in groups like this with no moderation, no fact checking, right? People can just say whatever they want. The greatest source of misinformation in this world right now is what is referred to as the meme. Like, say someone takes a picture of a burnt building and then has impact text that says, this is what Democrats want to do to you. And you post that, and a 60-year-old woman sees that, and they think, the Democrats! Ah! Right, like that's what they think because they believe anything that they see. It looks real. It's a burned down building. It's on fire. I looked outside and I saw fire once. Therefore, it must be true. That's what these people think. And if you're not an adequate or an adamant or whatever Facebook user, you might not know this. I don't use Facebook, right? But this is how these people behave. A parent had posted photos of the worksheet stats used and slammed it as an attempt to indoctrinate our kids. Like-minded community members were outraged and demanded that the school district discipline stats. So all it takes is one person posting a screenshot, and then it's like, Black Lives Matter. First they burn down our buildings, then they burn down our children's schools, and they burn down the educational system. Black Lives Matter is destroying the world. The arguments on social media spilled into a heated school board meeting in September. Racial slurs were graffitied on Burlington school campuses. Again, this is an elementary school. And a deluge of harassing messages were directed at Stats, accusing her of sowing division in the small town. Trying to teach people about the history of racism and how that applies to the world that we currently live in gets met with racist graffiti at an elementary school. Think about that. And these people pretend that they're on the side of justice. These people pretend that they're on the side of freedom and liberty. Think about that. People have just decided if you support Black Lives Matter, you must be a liberal, Stats said, of the town's residents who supported Donald Trump 2-1 over Hillary Clinton in 2016. Somehow, people have associated these words with a political party. I don't know why. I think it's a human rights issue. She doesn't know why, but I'll tell her. I'll answer that question. The reason why? Facebook. The reason why? Donald Trump. Those are the reasons why. So you can read this whole article if you want. It's really important, but I want to read this section out here because this section is mostly about how Facebook works. But you can read the whole article, and I would recommend doing so in your own time. So NBC reached out to the people that were upset. And I really want you to think about this, how Facebook is so damaging to people. We have a pandemic of conspiracy theories and misinformation in this world, and especially in this country. Jim Crawley, 60 years old, was the first to post about Stats' lesson in the Burlington, Wisconsin Buy, Sell, and Trade group on August 27th. He said another parent shared the worksheet with him, knowing that Crawley, whose daughter is in first grade, was already concerned about Black Lives Matter being taught in class. He considers it a Marxist organization. Think about this. Again, I want you to think about this. Right? I got a first grader who might learn that black people exist. Now, I moved to Burlington, Wisconsin, which has an 89% white population, so that I could shield my children from black people. And these kids are going to teach black people, or they're going to teach white people that black people exist. And even worse, they're going to teach the white people, they're going to teach my kid that black people deserve equal rights. How dare they? And the idea, the conflation of Black Lives Matter as an ideology and a single Black Lives Matter like political organization, the conflation of those two things, right? Oh, there's someone who thinks that Black Lives Matter, right, who was also a Marxist? I guess everyone who thinks that black people matter are Marxist. Facts and logic. It's the same thing that goes into like the Trump supporters, like calling people Biden supporters for asking them to stop screaming in a grocery store and to put a mask on. Oh, you want me to believe in germs? You think germs are real? You must be a soy boy commie cock. Right? Like, you have to, everyone I disagree with on anything, if I disagree with you on anything, we must disagree on everything. That is the ideology that Facebook has infected these people with, and I don't know how to fix this. You can't even go out to dinner without them trying to get you on your knees, Crawley said, who is white, said, what it is reversed racism. They're trying to strong arm you to believe their beliefs. I have no problem with black people being equal to what we are. I do have a problem with people trying to force others to believe what they believe. Think about this. Think about this. This is a 60-year-old person. They were born 60 years ago. They were born in what, 1960? They lived. When this person was born, black people did not have the right to vote in a lot of states in this country. When this person was born, and yet this is 60 years, right? 60 years of their life has culminated in them being easily misled by Facebook. It's sad. It's sad. Images of the worksheet quickly spread online, including in a private group for Wisconsinites angry about COVID-19 restrictions and mandates. Again, this is how this stuff spreads. It goes from one group, even though the town has 11,000 people, the group has 4 times that for some reason, right? And then someone there is like, oh, I gotta post this in another group I'm in. They'll love to see this. And then that group has 100,000, 200,000 members. And then that goes onto like Dan Bongino's Facebook page, who happens to be, by the way, the most viewed right-wing pundit on Facebook, by the way. Just, that's how this stuff travels. And then you have Donald Trump talking about how COVID is fake at a rally. This is how this stuff works. Teachers need a beat down, one person commented. Another encouraged people to tell stats to move to a city like Milwaukee or Chicago, that they would be more receptive to learning about black people. Go on to Chicago and talk about black people if you want. If you want to talk about the blacks so much, you got to go to Chicago. This is a white town. We don't talk about the blacks here. Seriously, like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? Facebook is the answer. Others said they needed to call the school board to complain. Taylor M. Wishaw, a Burlington school member, commented on a post about a lesson plan that he was irate. The teacher went rogue and will be dealt with. The teacher went rogue, telling a classroom that black people should have equal rights. Rogue. They should have never have done that. Wishow did not respond to emailed questions. This is the best part. Wishow did not respond to emailed questions. He appeared to delete his Facebook account after NBC News contacted him. Oh no! A news organization found my racist Facebook posts. Time to delete my account. At least there's some acknowledgement. Several parents, including Crawley, were upset that the worksheet stated that George Floyd was killed by a police officer. Again, Facebook, think about this. A medical examiner ruled Floyd's death a homicide, and the officer who placed the knee on his neck is facing second-degree murder charges. We all agree it looked horrible, but this hasn't played out in the courts, Crawley said. Even though there's video of this man killing another man. How dare you say that? He died of a fentanyl overdose, don't you know? Oh, you're asking me for a source? Oh, my source is Facebook. I saw my high school sweetheart, who I was married to for 13 years and then divorced because we couldn't get along. I saw her, because we're still good friends. She posted it on Facebook. That's where I get my news. Meanwhile, on social media, rumors swirled that Stats had told students that all police are bad and that their parents were wrong to say all lives matter. Now, by the way, that's true, but I doubt the teacher said that. That's true. Right? But I doubt the teacher said that. But again, the teacher, like, this is how misinformation goes. It's like a game of telephone. Oh, there's a saying. Oh, yeah, I know that there's a protest going on. Let's teach you about that. 2, they're talking about Marxism. 2, George Floyd had a fentanyl overdose. 2, like, all lives matter. They're telling the kids that all lives don't matter. 2, they're telling the Like, it's like a game of telephone for these people. And what is the apparatus that they're speaking to each other on? Facebook. Things she said she would never say. People also wrote that Stats was fired from her last teaching job in Chicago, an allegation that concerned Stats so much that she asked her former boss to write a letter, reviewed by NBC News, denying the rumor. Again, they will always write a fictitious history of you. I've got experience with that. People love writing fan fictions about, like, my history. I have first-hand experience with that. Right? So again, it's like all of a sudden, all you said was, yeah, there's a protest going on. Let me tell you about that. Now, you're a secret BLM Marxist organizer who got fired for teaching kids in Chicago about black people. Simultaneously, these people believe, go to Chicago if you want to talk about the blacks. And then simultaneously, they think, oh, you got fired for talking about the blacks in Chicago. Right? Like, what? What? But again, this is Facebook. There is no neutrality when pursuing equity. You've started this shit in my city. Mostly everyone will fight you, one woman told Garbade on Facebook. Screenshots of several messages sent to Stats show men called her a piece of human garbage and a piss-poor excuse of a teacher. One told her, you brought this on yourself, while also commenting on her nice little family. Right? You told my white child that black people exist? That's a nice family you got there, you piece of garbage. What? What? I feel like for the most part, people have made their minds up about racism and equity and those kinds of things long before this stuff had even started coming out and being exposed, Garbade said. So it's very hard to have conversations. Then, 3 days after the school board meeting, according to a district, a group of students etched "Die N-word die" and "Down with BLM" into wood chips at Cooper Elementary School. 12-year-olds. 12-year-olds. Best case scenario. If it's an elementary school, best case scenario is 12-year-olds. Imagine a 6-year-old, right? Writing that, right? Like, imagine that. I don't know, man. It's ridiculous. The following day, September 18th, Superintendent Plank issued an open letter in response. He apologized for the district previously declaring neutrality on the Black Lives Matter lesson plan. I see how my perspective was offensive and understand that there is no neutrality when pursuing equity. I don't know why they keep using the term equity, but, Plank said in the letter, the fact that we need to even specifically say that Black Lives Matter to affirm the importance of human beings is to say that we as a nation have not done a good job of regarding black and brown people as valuable members of our society historically or currently. Good statement. He acknowledged the district received a wave of polarized feedback, some of it espousing racist, hateful, and threatening sentiments, and said the attacks against school staff and community members must stop. 2 weeks later, a group of minors spray-painted the N-word on the floor of another school that was under construction. Burlington police would not release reports of the incident, citing confidentiality for cases that are ongoing and involve juveniles, but told NBC News that the vandals stated what they did was dumb and stupid. At least they know that. But again, I would recommend reading this whole piece on your own time. But I really wanted to highlight how dangerous Facebook is. And how Facebook is teaching parents that black people are evil. And these parents are teaching their children that black people are evil. This is not a society that we should be living in. Like, goddamn. Like, the United States of America as a country has done such a bad fucking job at teaching its citizens history. Like, again, I grew up in New Jersey, liberal state of New Jersey. I was taught MLK fixed racism in 1965. It's over. There's no such thing as racism, I was taught. Malcolm X was a little rude. Shouldn't have been that mean, right? He was kind of popular. Shouldn't have been that rude. And then then he died. I don't know. He didn't die. He just went somewhere. He just started. He just went somewhere. Then MLK fixed racism. And then after MLK fixed racism, he was killed. But he wasn't killed by a racist because he fixed racism. And also, slavery is wrong, but it's over. And so now let's talk about math. Like, that was what I learned in fucking elementary school. In New Jersey. Liberal state of New Jersey. Right? So this country sucks dick. It sucks fucking dick. And not in the good dick way. Not in the good dick way. The bad dick way. Right? The very, 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 very bad dick way. The, like, this dick way. Like, this dick way. This is the bad dick way.
Okay? Fuck you where you bleed, pal. Right where you breathe. Go vote for fucking Biden and suck right here.
That's the bad dick way. That's the bad dick way. And this country sucks dick in the bad dick way. Not good. Believe me, not good.
No good. No good.